Hey everyone, my name is Sid and I'm a real estate agent and investor. And today in this video, I'm going to be showing how I run the numbers and calculate the profit on my real estate investments. And following this simple spreadsheet strategy has allowed me to rapidly scale my portfolio at a young age. So let's get right into it. So I'm just going to go on Zillow.com and find some random property just for the sake of example. So let's just search in Miami because I live in Miami. So Miami, Florida, sort low to high, and let's just pick some random single family house. Okay, this yellow house right here. All right. So the first most important thing to note down on our sheet is of course the listing price. So let's put that in our spreadsheet. You can use either Google Sheets or Excel for this. I just use Google Sheets because it's free. $256,250. Next thing is the square feet of the property, 1,072, and the price per square feet. Price per square feet is an important thing to calculate. It's just the listing price divided by square feet. And the reason why we calculate that is it gives us a good comparison point of how this is valued relative to other properties in the area. Because usually similar properties in the same area are valued at the same price per square feet or very similar. So the next thing we want to do is calculate the details of the loan that we'll be taking on this property. So the first thing is the down payment. So for the sake of example, I'm just going to use 20%. The reason for 20% is because that's the typical amount that most lenders want for an investment property. There are many other loan programs for different people, but the best way to learn about those is to just call a local lender in your area. You can call any bank or mortgage company and they'll be able to help you figure out what's the best down payment strategy for your specific financial situation. So this would just be the listing price times 20%. Next thing is the closing costs on the property. Closing costs I estimate at 2.5% of the purchase price. So P2 times 0.025. And then we calculate the total due at closing to be those two values added together. 57,656. So now that we know the amount due at closing, next we have to calculate the monthly mortgage payments. So first, we get the loan amount. That would just be the listing price subtracted by the down payment, B2 minus B6. And then the interest rate. So just for this example, I'm going to use 7% as that's the current rate in the market when I'm recording this. Interest rates are constantly fluctuating up and down based on the economy. So whenever you're creating this calculator, make sure to Google what is the current interest rate before you fill in that number. So now we can finally calculate the mortgage payment using something called the PMT function in Google Sheets. So this PMT function takes three inputs. The first thing is the monthly rate of interest. So that would just be the interest rate from before divided by 12 months in the year. Next is the number of periods. That would be the total number of months in your loan period. For almost all loans, that's going to be 30 years. So 20, 30 times 12 gives 360, so 360. And then the third argument is just the amount of the loan, which we calculated already as B9. So when we plug that in, we get okay, we get 1,363 per month. So now that we know our monthly payments, next let's figure out what our rental income is per month. So the way you can figure this out is there's a lot of online databases you can use. Personally, the one that I like to use is called rentometer.com. This gives very accurate numbers from the actual current market rates. It is a paid platform. I pay around $40 a month for it, but it's 100% worth it. I use it almost every day. But if you're looking for a free alternative, you can also use the Zillow Rent Estimator, which is free. So all I have to do is plug in that address, 1524 Northwest 24th Street, Miami, Florida. It is a 2-bed, 1-bath property. 2-bed, 1-bath. Average is 2732, so we'll plug that in. So now let's calculate what is our total profit per year. So first, let's get the rental income per year. That's just the per month value times 12. Next, we need what the yearly mortgage payments are. That would be the monthly value we calculated earlier times 12. But before we can calculate the profit, there's also a couple other costs we gotta account for. First one is tax. So usually I just fetch the tax info from Zillow. It's pretty accurate, 2870 per year. But if you want to the dot exact numbers, you need to go on the county website specific to the property that you're looking at and look at their tax records. The next thing we got to account for is the vacancy rate. Because we have to add a little bit of a safety buffer just in case the property isn't rented for a month or two. So usually for this estimate, I use 6.5% of the rental income. The reason I use 6.5% is because that is currently the average of the entire US. So it gives us a good ballpark amount of what's a typical vacancy on a rental property. So that would just be B14 times 0.065. Next cost we have to account for is maintenance. So we never know how much the maintenance is going to be. Hopefully, nothing goes wrong, but I always want to keep a reserve of money just in case something does go wrong. And the estimate that I use for the maintenance reserve is 1% of the listing price. So B2 times 0.01. And finally, the last cost is property management. For all my investments, I hire property managers, so there's less work on my plate. If you're just starting out, it might be better for you to save on money by managing the property yourself. And if you plan on managing it yourself, then you would just put a zero here for that cost. But for this example, I'm just going to use 10% of the rental income because 10% is the typical rate that property managers charge. All right, so now we have all our costs and revenues calculated. So now we can finally calculate our profit, which is the net operating income. And that would just be the rental income per year minus the mortgage payments, minus the tax, minus the vacancy, minus the maintenance, minus property management, which gives us our grand total of 5575 per year. Let me highlight that value because this is very important. And then finally, our most important value to calculate is called the cap rate, which is the rate of capitalization. And the way we calculate that is just the rental income per year minus all costs except mortgage payments. So B14 minus B16 minus B17. And we take that whole value and divide it by the listing price. So our final result is 0.08. We convert that to percent, 8.56%. So cap rate is 100% the most important metric to be looking at when you're calculating the profitability of a property. This number is so important. It tells you how fast you're able to recoup the money that you put into the investment in the first place. Generally, for my investments, I only invest if I'm able to expect at least a 10% cap rate. So, just for the sake of example, let's see what would I offer on this property to get it to a 10% cap rate. So what you can do now is just play around with this listing price and see what return you would get at different purchase prices. So let's say I offer a little bit less than the listing. It's listed for 256. Let's say I offer 250,000. Let's see what the cap rate changes to. The cap rate goes up a little bit to 8.8%. Let's decrease that some more. Let's say I offer 225,000. It goes up to 9.89. Let's say 220,000. All right. At a purchase price of 220,000, we see that we are able to get a cap rate of above 10%. So if I was to invest in this property, I would only invest if I'm able to get it at a price of 220,000 or less. So that's all for this video. I'm going to make later videos showing more strategies of more detailed ways to calculate statistics and other ways to maximize profit on your investments. Please leave your feedback in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.